Oh, sir. I only saw like the tail end of what you were saying, but it seemed like we were just talking about two different things. But I guess I agree with you that like that people can be really stupid and suffer from poor financial decisions. I mean, I don't think those people should be like sterilized and prevented from living a normal life. I think that like everyone's surviving on their own and kind of like survival of the fittest, so that the people who make poor financial decisions die off and popular people have a lot of children. I think that that is like a really, really deadly philosophy that is not a good idea. It's my but I know what it comes from historically, you know, and with my generation, it doesn't even matter. Like things are so bad right now that you can be a very, very clever person with money and you still fail because the economy is just not what it was after America conquered the world in World War II. That wealth has kind of like been spent. You know what I mean?
The economy is doing great. I don't know what you're talking about. There's 4 million open jobs. I mean, we can't get people to work.
Because it doesn't pay enough. It's like,
what are you talking about? Minimum wage in Florida is $14 an hour. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's
paying people too much, so too many people can buy houses. I mean, I have 4 nieces and 4 nephews. They're all doing great. My oldest niece is a doctor of microbiology. She works for the University of Maryland. She's getting married to some guy who's trying to shoot a laser through this, whatever. Anyways, I have a veterinarian niece. My one nephew works for the NSA. He makes $150,000 a year. I mean,
that's probably what you need. That's good. I'm guessing how'd they get to college? If I'm asking.
Their parents paid for it.
Okay. I mean, did you go to college?
I did. I went to 3.
How much did
I never graduated from it.
How much did it cost?
It was in the 80s. It wasn't that bad. But my dad paid for all 5 of his children to go to college. My sister went to law school as well.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's basically how you succeed.
And my dad was the first person in his family to go to college. He got a master's in electrical engineering. And,
Yeah, my dad did that too. Yeah, and my mom. That's really interesting because I have a theory about that. But well, what about like, okay, so let's say if our parents were stupid and made bad decisions, and so we didn't get like that opportunity to, get help going to college or get help buying a house or something like that.
Sure, that sucks. Yeah, I remember I had a female roommate back when I was in college, and she'd bought a brand new car for some reason. She was a waitress and she was working her way through school, and I naively said something about, well, she wanted me to take her car off her hands and just take over the payments. I'm like, I don't want a brand new car and those payments. I mean, it's a decent deal. Right. She had already paid a year on the car, so it wouldn't have been a bad deal, but it's like, I can't afford that. And I'm like, well, can't your parents help you out? And she's like, well, my dad says girls don't need to go to college. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That happens. Yeah. Parents, some parents are like, get out of the house at 18, go make your own way. You're cut off.
Do you remember that's what my parents did. They also got divorced. So like that ate up
divorce
a ton of money.
Divorce is an economic killer. It's the number one way to fall out of the middle class.
Yeah, I kind of think, I converted to Catholicism, and before I converted, everyone I knew, like all the Christians and whatnot, they all came from broken homes. So it was rare to find a home that was together. And I think, and then after I became Catholic, it was like all my people in the parish and whatnot, they all were together. There were a lot of people that had remarried and stuff like that, older folk, where I was. But when I was meeting people my own age, they all seemed to have like their parents, like, oh, I'm following my father into the construction business. My father's helped me go to college. My father's helped me get a house, this kind of thing. And so it's hard for me to relate. So I kind of think like, because that's the thing about usury is it doesn't operate like people understand. Like Republicans understand this when they talk about paying off the national debt. It doesn't operate on one generation. It operates generationally and prevents people from having children. That's what it does. I mean, it squeezes them to death. Because like, do you remember how much that car used to cost that she was trying to get you to buy? How much did that cost?
It was a Dodge Laser, probably about 25 grand or something.
All right. Do you think that cars were made better back then, or are they made better now?
They're made better now. It's one of the few things
so?
that's made better now. I remember my dad's 68 Lincoln Continental when it rolled to all zeros because it didn't have, 100,000. It didn't have a space for 100,000 because cars didn't run 100,000 miles back in the day. I know everybody thinks everything was built better back in the day, but not cars. Now, obviously, they got fuel injection. They don't have carburetors on anymore. They got computers in them, but you plug in the diagnostic computer, it tells you what's wrong. I got a Tahoe. I got 180,000 miles on it. I expect it to run 250,000 miles. Your
nice
Toyota Corollas. I mean, it was the Japanese that made us make cars better. But anyway.
Right. What do you think that? I'm just trying to get a feel for you because a lot of people think things are built better back then. Some people think things are built better back now. I've got my own opinions. Like the first house I bought was 100 years old. This house is 100 years old, and there are some things wrong with it. I mean, what's interesting is the amount that I paid for it is not what the first person who bought it paid for it. You know what I mean? So right there, it's like 100 years ago, I wasn't born. A 20-year-old man, he'd be 120 now if he was still alive when he built it. I'm sure it wasn't so expensive, and then sold it, and then the next person sold it, and so on. And now it's very, very expensive for me to buy it, even though it's the same house having worn down on it. That's kind of weird. You know what I mean? So I mean that right there.
Well,
the reason why I had to buy it. Good.
When your house was built 100 years ago, people were making $1 a day. I remember my dad tells a story about his grandfather saying how, I'm going in the hole building this house. He was paying the carpenter $1.25 a day. He was only making $1 a day. So he was going into debt to build his house. But my parents are currently selling their house. They bought in 1968, the house I was raised in. They got it on the market for 550 grand or something. I think they paid 18,000 for it in 1968.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah. I mean, when they were making $1 a day, did he buy his food from the grocery store?
I assume so. Yeah, he wasn't a farmer.
He didn't grow a little garden or anything like that?
I'm sure they had a garden. Yeah. I mean, we're Germans. They ate a lot of rabbits. Germans used to keep rabbits up in Wisconsin. My dad tells a story about during the war when Grandpa was off in Germany and he was like 6 and his grandfather, it snowed the night and he couldn't make it up the hill to the house to kill the chicken. So Dad had to kill the chicken. When he cut its head off, it flapped around and he said it ran around on the pure driven snow, spurting blood everywhere. He remembers it well. So yeah. I mean,
okay. So they raise their own animals and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, through the 50s, my parents grew up in Wisconsin. So yeah, everybody raised some animals. You had victory farms during the war, victory gardens, I guess they called them. It was pretty common to grow something, but you didn't grow all your food,
Okay. So they bought, so it's just like, when they talk about $1 a day, when I go through and talk to people and I like research the history of it, you know, it's like they didn't have to buy food every, for one thing, they knew how to kill those animals and stuff like
Sure.
that. I had to pay, I know a lot of people who have to pay $1,000, $1,200 just to go and learn how to like raise an animal and kill it because, grocery store prices. So, and that's just food. Um, I mean, here's another example. Because do you like the government or are you against the government?
I'm a Republican. I'm largely against the government, but I mean, it's a
Nice,
necessary evil. I agree with Thomas Paine.
nice. Well, I mean, I've got a friend that you know he's got children and stuff like that. He even can raise his own food, and he spanks his children. Do you think it's good to spank your children? I do, just so you know. I think it's okay.
I was spanked as a child.
Yeah.
If you're excessive about it, obviously, I was just actually telling.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to like. Yeah, you wouldn't want to just like beat him or something.
My mom
running
around at me with a switch one time, me and my brother, because we didn't clean our room. So.
Oh, okay. So she spanked you with a stick. And
we had this damn elm tree up there.
Yeah. Well, my generation kind of has different things to worry about. It's like so he spanks his children, he raises food, feeds them food, and a Catholic called Child Protective Services on him, and they came in and the first thing they checked was the refrigerator. You got to make sure you bought enough groceries in the grocery store, and they asked him all about spanking. And basically told him you can't spank, and here he is afraid his children might be taken away. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's worse in other states. So, say again, what were you going to say?
Is he in Austin?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't really want to talk too much.
Okay, well, Austin's very liberal, right? The capital is liberal, but the rest of the state, right?
He's a country boy. No, I agree with you. I mean, you're definitely going to have a worse time in like a liberal area with CPS. But in fact, I've known, like, my wife was looking up stuff, and it's like a lot of CPS agents are just like atheists out of college with a psychology degree that just kind of look for reasons to take away a Christian man's children. But I guess the point I was trying to say is, like, you have, because CPS is all over the country. I mean, there's no place you can live where they might not be called on, unless you just never talk to your neighbors. You know what I mean? So here's this government organization that specifically exists to make sure people can't have children or can't keep their children if they, for instance, didn't buy groceries that day or spank their children or try to live this like traditional lifestyle. And so then they come and so you kind of got to like have a certain standard of living that maybe in the 1950s, or even in the 1940s and stuff, nobody had. When you had $1 a day, it's like, one of the things they check for is running water and plumbing. It's like so many families lived without that, but now we've got to pay a bill for that every month. A lot of people, you know what I mean? So like, there's so many things that have changed that make it so hard to say, oh, well, you're just stupid if you're failing. Because, like, well, people could have done the exact same thing 50, 30 years ago, and they wouldn't have had their children taken. You know what I mean? And that's just if it happens. I mean, there's still the fear of it, where it's like, and so I'm just like, I understand older folks, and I respect them, but I think sometimes they can't quite comprehend what we're going through, and it just seems like not very Catholic and not very Christian to just assume that like anybody who's struggling just to like have a family is stupid or lazy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, well, $14 an hour is more than $1, but after 100 years, things cost a lot more than even 14 times. Like in the 1950s, I'm just looking at like like actual like statistics and things like that, and the way people used to live. In the 1950s, a grocery store clerk could have a vacation, he could have a car, he could keep his wife home from work, he could do all these things. He was working at a grocery store. It's like now you work at a grocery store, like you can barely afford food. You're gonna be on food stamps, probably have roommates. You know, you're not going to be raising a family. You know what I mean? Because I used to work at a grocery store. It's just like some things have changed, and it's kind of hard to measure it with this paper money that just goes crazy up and down. You know what I mean? Like my parents are divorced, so it's like I don't have a lot of support from like my boy's 3 years old. It's like I don't know how to handle a 3-year-old boy. No one's ever taught me. You know what I mean? And there's not really anybody I can call to help. Well, that makes it harder to go to work and make money at a job. You know what I mean? If I just can't figure out how to raise my children.
Why, like being a single parent is one of the bigger drivers of poverty. I mean, I don't know if you have a wife.
Yeah.
But, you know, sure.
I have a wife. She's in really poor health, especially like if we want to have more children and stuff. It always kind of hits her really hard. She's usually like bedridden the first trimester. So, I can't get out of bed. Like I sleep 12, 14 hours. Yeah. So it's kind of like I'm almost a single parent during that season.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I think you're painting the past a little rosier than it was as well. Children were taken from parents all the time for being poor back in the day.
Oh, really?
My brother's in the Knights of Columbus. He claims it was founded by the Irish, the Catholic Irish, because like if the man died, the British would come in and try to take the kid away, and they'd say, well, you have to post a $10,000 bond. Well, of course, nobody in the 1700s, whatever, had $10,000 to post a bond to show they can raise the children.
Right.
I mean, they were
right. Well, I think this stuff has been going on a long time. I just think it's gotten a lot worse now. That's what I think. Because back then, it's like you had Knights of Columbus and they would do something. I had a leak in my roof I'm trying to fix. I went to a local Knights of Columbus group. I said, I got in trouble. They won't come out and do it. They're too busy playing cards. You know?
Yep, they do like to play cards. Although my brother says the new priest, they got a Filipino priest that came in and told the Knights of Columbus no more drinking at the meetings. So they probably lost a lot of members.
Oh. Well, I don't know. A lot of my friends really, really like detest the older generation, have contempt for them. You know, and I get it because a lot of the older generation has contempt for my generation, you know. But I mean, everyone's kind of selfish. That's what I've noticed. Like nobody wants to just like work together or help other people, or you know what I mean? Like it's like every man to his own. If you fail, you deserve to die. It's kind of the mentality. Which do you notice that too, or am I alone in this Catholic world I've converted into?
Well, I do. I think you're right. I think there is less community to some degree. You know, there's no barn raisins going on.
Right. Well, that's a big deal. I built a barn. It's hard without a couple of guys there to help you lift it.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have a few friends at least. You should have some good friends who come over and help you with your pole barn. Yeah, people expect you to be able to, pay your own way and stuff. I mean, it depends. It also has something to do with age, like when I was in my 20s, I made the mistake of buying a pickup truck, so I was everybody's buddy. Anytime somebody wanted to move, I was there,
Right.
Stuff for everybody, right? Don't ever buy a pickup truck when you're in your 20s. But by the time you're 40, funny. You're expected to, either move yourself or pay movers, Don't expect your 40-year-old friends to come over and help you move, So I think some of that has to do with age within a lifetime, not necessarily generational.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah. Like for me, it's had a lot more to do with like state in life. Like, I don't know, like, because for instance, I mentioned my wife's in poor health, especially when we're trying to have babies. And I noticed that, or like when I converted to the Catholic religion, one of the reasons I did it is because I didn't want to be divorced. I wanted to have children. And the Catholic religion was the only one that seemed to be like, yeah, you should definitely have children, and that's the most important thing you can do. But a lot of like women, like I've had women ask them for help, stuff like that. Like, how about my wife? She's the oldest of two, she didn't learn how to raise children or anything like that. We're figuring out as we go along. But I don't know, they kind of like, so I asked these older women to come and advise my wife, and they're kind of like telling her that she just needs to like man up, toughen up, and kind of like run the household, and that's it. And well, we followed that advice one time, and we immediately had a miscarriage. So maybe some women need that, but it seems like we're kind of different. And I don't know. It's like the main thing seems to be like we should have children, not just work and make money all the time, Because I'll work hard, man. I'll work 16 hours a day, and my wife's just at health. And it just seems like there's this mentality, like when you're married and having children, like you're still supposed to be this fully engaged member of the economy, trying to build up the GDP, even if it means like you're going to have a miscarriage. And I know a bunch of people like me in this state of life trying to have children that they can't fulfill the standards of like never taking a day off, not being there at your house when your wife needs you and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Whereas, if there are men and women from my local church that would like come over all the time, my wife could probably make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
My
it's
son is
always
afraid of my lamb. Go ahead.
it's always good to have a support structure around you. Some people need it more than others. If you're in the church, you would think the church would be there to help you. The old ladies.
You'd think.
You would
They
think
said They said they were my family, and then yeah, you'd think they would be.
Yeah.
It's probably better where you are. They always tell me to go to my family, like my relatives and stuff, and I can't. I became Catholic, and I just don't. I'm not near them. I wanted to follow Jesus Christ. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the women in the church. Maybe the men are fine. They're just working really hard, and the women. I don't know. Every parish I go to seems to be run by women. You know what I mean? Is that just me that notices that?
I don't know. I dropped out of the church 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Well, I mean, what made you drop out?
I read the Bible. I'm an atheist, so maybe Claire called me a cradle Catholic. Maybe you thought I was still a Catholic, but no, I'm an atheist.
Yeah, I did. Well, good. Okay. I kind of get along better with atheists nowadays than I do with Catholics a lot of times. What about the Bible made you drop out?
Numbers 31:4.
Which one's that?
Moses killing the Midianites, whatever it was.
Really?
Slaughter all the
Midianites, I think.
Midianites, yeah, not the Amalekites. I mashed two of them together, but a lot of genocide in the Bible.
Well,
the genocide?
because they conquered Canaan. You can't conquer, territory without killing people.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the story of the Jews is that God was on their side, right? And they didn't even believe it, and they complained about the manna from heaven, and then they were condemned to wander in the wilderness for 40 years because they didn't go straight into Israel. They sent the spies, and the spies came back with stories about giants and stuff, and they pussyfooted around.
And Aaron built the golden calf, and Moses struck the rock twice. God only told him to strike it once. That's right, for the water to come forth.
That's very interesting. That's like a whole different conversation. But yeah, I mean, I tell atheists all the time. I'm like, man, if the Bible is what you're like, I think there's a big problem because people think like the Bible is religion, like it explains whole religion. I love the Bible. I think every word of it's true, and I think the genocide was justified, but I don't think that, and I think it's probably the only one that's ever been justified in all of history. So, and I think that because I think God's good, and it's just I have religion already, right? And I come in and I read the Bible. It's like, well, this is a good God ordering this thing to happen. That's obviously in almost every case evil. So there must be something I don't understand here. And then I kind of look clues and stuff. So I think that I'm not surprised that people fall away from religion because they read the Bible. I mean, that's basically what, from what I've heard, even the church fathers said that, like people can't handle the Old Testament. They don't understand what it's about. I'm kind of in a position now where I have to answer for it a little bit, but I don't think that I'm like the most qualified to do it or anything like that. Like the thing about being a Christian is you have to understand and believe that there was that genocide and it was okay. And every other genocide in history, probably not okay, probably evil from this standpoint, because it's basically only acceptable if God does it, and that's pretty hard to explain. It's pretty hard to
It
explain. And
does.
so if you're like sola scriptura, the Bible's all we got. It's like, man, that's a tough one to explain. You can't derive your whole religion from that.
But really,
I
the
agree. I
point
mean, I
about
totally agree.
hello.
Atheists, why atheists don't like that? Good.
So
I
the difference.
think I have to go though. My son's calling me now. Well, God bless you. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, but it was good talking to you guys. Hopefully, I can come back at some
Well,
point.
hopefully
Okay.
things pick up
Thank
for
you.
Nathaniel. You have a good one.
Yeah, pray for me, man. It's hard. It's really hard. Like our generation, the things that are done to us, I think they look like what's been done in the past, but they're just way, way worse. And I don't even care like what religion people are. It's like nobody should suffer what I've had to suffer just because I wanted to have a family at 25. Nobody should suffer. It's ridiculous.
That trust and integrity are important, which is why I prefer to talk to you individually, and I'm happy to do that if you have the time to do that. But nobody has time and nobody has money because of usury, which is why I'm fighting usury with all my heart, with everybody I can find. And if you want to support me with your time, if you have any extra, please contact me individually. If you have to send me money to support me, that's fine. We'll find the least usurious way as possible, and you'll see a link. There are 3 ways that we can do this, or there are 3 ways that I'm working on right now. There's one bottom-up approach. I'm talking quickly for the people who don't have time. And that involves creating insular economies, which is what you will find out when you contact me individually with your extra time. That's the most important. I'm doing that locally and I'm doing that electronically, which is where you come in. The other 2 are top-down. So that you can find a user, you can cause him to repent, you can tell him about Jesus Christ, and then he should fix everything. And so we won't suffer as much. Or you can pass Jubilee laws, which you don't need to find the user or do that. It makes usury illegal. It benefits everybody who is struggling, and it will punish users or anybody who commits usury. So, which is not the people you think. Nobody knows who they are. So don't worry about you being affected by that. But I'm doing the first one, I'm researching the other 2, and I'm glad to hear your thoughts.
Edited by lil-lathoS.